Well, we're back again. This week we're joined by Dani and TJ, who just bought a house. So we're going to talk about the house buying experience. TJ joined us a few weeks ago to watch our episode on buying your first house. And Nick and I provided a little information after that episode, and he went out and found one, and they just recently closed on it and started moving their stuff in. So before we get to that fun stuff, we're going to talk about what we're drinking because we like to drink. So I'm going first here. I'm drinking a Grant Township Sweet Cider from Michigan Wine Company here, which is in Fenville, Michigan. I know the owners. They're great people, and this is excellent, by the way. And I'm drinking it out of my daughter's flash glass. So thank you, Caitlin. Nick, what you drinking?
I say I went back to Old Faithful because I'm here to celebrate the success here. So I went and bought some deuces of some Bud Light. It's just big enough for two hands. Anheuser-Busch, right, for the millionth time. Guys, really, you should probably sponsor us for this one. We're real excited. Benson's back with us. Benson, what are you drinking today?
I went and I kind of reverted back to something that I learned about when I was at Cherry Capital Comic Con about a year and a half ago, and it was a Blake Cider multi-pack, and today I'm enjoying Flannel Mouth, and I'm enjoying the El Chavo, which is the habanero and mango.
There you go.
Very nice. TJ, Dani, are either of you drinking anything?
Man, I feel like a would because all I got is a soda from Speedway.
Hey, it's something to quench the thirst, right?
Yeah,
I guess, yeah.
So
we're days of work, yeah.
We're going to jump right in here. So TJ sat with us, and after we finished that episode, we talked to him a little bit off, just on the Zoom to answer some more specific questions. The next day, he had sent Nick and I a house to look at, and we gave him some ideas, on what to look for. One of the things I suggested was when you find a house, go to Crime Map USA and, see what the crime looks like in the area, which, that first house was, a really good deal.
It was bad.
In a sketchy neighborhood. So real quickly, TJ and Dani found out that, it helps to know where crimes are being committed because that tells you whether you want to take a chance on a house or not. And Nick and I were really excited to get back to this because, this is proof that we're not crazy and we actually do know what we're talking about. So TJ, how did you go about your search here?
All right, so talked to my friend Rob, and he recommended a good mortgage person over at Icon Mortgage. I think they're based out of like the Flint area. And then so I talked to Marla over at Icon Mortgage. She hooked me up with a really good realtor, and so which is kind of like I started the house listings I was looking at because I did some like research on Zillow and online, and the realtor was able to get us a portal, so we found like a few houses. Only really looked at the one house that was in Swartz Creek, which is the one that we ended up putting an offer in on, because a lot of the other places were like either like rental, or not really, like I guess flipper houses, or they were in like poor neighborhoods, like a lot of the Flint. There's a lot in Flint and Burton areas. And the crime rate wasn't that great there.
Sure.
So,
and so when you mean flipper houses, they were done up already, or they were something a flipper would buy to.
Correct.
Okay.
Like it got to the point when like we would request for Edie to put in so we can look at them. We actually had the other realtor that was managing those cases came back to our realtor and goes, are they looking into redoing them and selling them? Because if they're looking to buy, this is a no-go. They're not worth it.
Sure.
So,
and I guess I mean to cut you off, but just to let everybody know, what TJ was kind of talking about, it's a portal, right? So you get with a realtor, you tell them the area that you kind of want to go into and a price range, and so then you get an email specifically just for you that lists all those, right? So You know, we don't want people who are looking for $400,000 houses getting sent $1 million houses, and they probably don't want to be sent $60,000 houses, right? I mean, they want to be something where, you know, where they know kind of what they're looking for. So Portal is a really nice thing set up. So you know, you're not getting, when you guys live, you know, over the east side of the state area, I don't need to get stuff that's for sale over there. You know, I mean, I need things that are here. So, and vice versa. So that's really awesome.
Yeah. So I think I forgot to mention, like, so after we got like the mortgage, like the initial mortgage approved, like, okay, so you can do either your FHA loan, which is like, I think, what was it? 100, I think it was 100,000 for FHA, or it could be rural development for 120,000. So the place that we found in Swartz Creek is actually rural development, which was nice because we didn't have to worry about down payment. It's just
Awesome, man.
that did closing costs.
Yep.
So I think it was like another one of the reasons we went with that one.
That's huge. So no down payment.
Yeah.
Well, like
Dude,
a lot of also what was like going into our choices was the main fact that when we decided that rural development was going to be the way that we were going to go, a lot of the places that we were originally looking at were either land
contract.
land contracts or conventional.
Yeah.
Or what was the other one? Cash.
Yeah, it was like a lot of the cash conventional.
sure.
We were mainly looking for stuff that was either FHA or RD because we didn't have the money to put 20% down for a down payment, which is what you have to do with any of those with cash conventional.
Yeah. So, and yeah, just again, kind of talk to you guys a little bit. FHA, right, is government funding. Fannie Mae, you guys hear about those things. You can put the 3.5% down that we're talking. Conventional, normally a 20% down. Rural development, right, is still a government kind of a loan to help develop the rural areas, not city things that like David and I and Benson live in. But you know, just and honestly, sometimes it surprises you. Like Wayland, a lot of Wayland is honestly like rural development, even though it's pretty well updated, right? But you'll still catch a couple things. And then, right, so we talked about like VA loans and things like that. But yeah, so you guys chose rural development, 0 down, and just paid closing. That is huge.
Yeah.
Like you've officially like taken investor step like 102 at that point, right? Like people beg to get a house with no money down, except, you know, like as little as possible. And you guys like hit a home run just right there. When did you guys close on it?
I think it was
Last Wednesday.
Yeah, last Wednesday.
It's huge, man. That's huge. I'm super excited about that.
I mean,
Congrats.
it would have been a lot sooner, but
Oh yeah, it would have been way a lot sooner.
it was more dealing like one fact was because I was on a temporary furlough, so I was off 1 day a week. So I was only working 32 hours a week. And I mean, I was still able to get like the loans in that process. It was just more like, okay, we need an actual pay stub of your 40-hour work week.
Yep.
So we had to wait for that, and then
They were fine until a point that you were off a furlough. And then they're like, oh, by the way, we need that paycheck stub for you being off furlough.
Sure.
And he's like, I have to wait 2 weeks now to get that.
So how many houses did you guys physically go look at?
I think it was just the one.
What?
You just looked at one. That's huge. But you crime mapped a couple of them.
2. Technically 2. We went to go look at a second one, and it was more or less we did a drive-by to see how it looked, and it was literally a house and like this much property.
It was like on a corner lot. It was very, very small.
And I'm like, I can't do anything with no yard.
Sure. So you knew instantly it was a waste of time. So that's huge.
We looked at a lot of pictures when we were looking at listings just to see like, okay, what's the shape of this?
Sure.
And one of them just didn't look, either needed some work or just didn't look a little outdated.
That's awesome. I guess I have a few questions. If you don't mind, I'm going to start shooting away. Tell me what the best part of this whole entire thing was.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, what was the best part of your entire journey from the time that we got, like, you know, that we got off the thing, the video conference, to the final, like, closing of it? Like, I mean, what's the best part of the whole journey?
I got a sewing flush craft room.
Yeah, so you got what you wanted. You got what you wanted. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that like we found the place that was like practically move-in ready,
Mm-hmm.
so that was really good. It's like
With good colors on the wall.
good paint colors. It's got like a nice large bedroom that Danny can use as a sewing room. I got like it's a smaller like nursery room that I can use as an office. But
Huge.
still enough room to, like, you know, put a couple desks in there, and then
Big enough backyard that I could put a stand-up garden. It has a fire pit, a small
Sure.
deck, has a garage.
It's great. So
Yeah.
you've gone from apartment to an actual house with space that you want, and you're happy. What's the worst part of the entire process?
When the inspector goes in and goes, "Oh, there's a crack in the foundation," and your heart just drops.
Sure.
And then they're like, "Well, we would advise you to go and have a foundation person go and look at it." And then come to find out, they learned that the original house had burnt down. And instead of replacing the foundation, like it burnt down to the ground type thing.
Yeah.
And instead of replacing the foundation, they put a foundation around it.
Sure.
And then built the house on top of that.
Oh, okay. So you
So
got a big.
the foundation that shows up in the crawl space isn't even the foundation that the house is on.
Sure. I say so.
So.
Tear down that wall and Gorbachev it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the worst part is getting some news. So now that you've done it once, what is your biggest suggestion to other people to make them successful?
I mean, I would like.
I think what I would advise, especially like some of the hardships that we had, was because of the fact that our house that we have decided to settle on is in a flood zone. You definitely have to have flood insurance before you even think about like finishing. Like they want a quote, they want you to make sure that you're paying the premiums beforehand and everything before you're even able to close out on it.
Sure.
Because the bank needs to know what are you chewing on? What your premiums and that are. And it was a tough thing because it was during the time when like all the insurances were doing that run over on the first.
Yep.
So it basically made it to the point that we couldn't even contact the insurance to be able to get it. So I think it was more or less being proactive and making sure that you're contacting the insurance, because it took almost 2-3 weeks to get a quote, just a quote from the insurance.
Sure.
And trying to get on top of it and be almost, I don't want to say harassing them to get it, but be stern that you need it now, because otherwise we're sitting here, you know.
Yeah. No, time is of the essence. I mean, that's what I tell people all the time. Time is of the essence. Every time I do a real estate transaction, right? It's time is of the essence. We need answers. This, right? I hold people to a lot of accountability. So I think that's great, is holding people to accountability. So if you can remember that far back, now looking at it, what did you take from our video that you put into your transaction dealings? One of the biggest things I want to know is, right, I gave the world's greatest tip in my mind of how to get out of your lease and how to negotiate that. How did you get out of your lease? What are you guys doing for it? want everybody to know this.
So how we got out of our lease, mainly how our company that we have been going through for our apartments is that, because it's kind of on the stupid side. You either give them 60-day notice, and then you can cut off, and then you pay the fee for
Early termination. Yep.
the early
which is
termination,
200% of rent.
which is 200% of rent. Or you could move now, cut off your lease, but you're paying your lease until someone picks up your apartment,
Sure.
which I thought was stupid because you could be like 6 months down and someone still not be in your apartment. But we went with the route of giving the 60-day notice. And then we put basically, that's the concession portion, right?
Well, so we asked for concessions from the seller, and so it definitely helped with the closing costs. We were able to get 4,000 concessions. So it still had to like come out with the money for like the rent and for the termination fee. But
Sure.
I mean,
It helped out with the closing costs.
it did help.
It all
out.
came back. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's so the advice worked. Ask for concessions because you can get it. That is great. Yeah, and that's a huge thing. Right. So everybody out there, and it's funny because I get told all the time, right? All the time. Well, nobody's asking for concessions right now. You're not going to get it. You can't do it. And like, right, we're August 25th of 2020. Houses are selling faster than people are making food right now. Like,
yeah.
and you guys got a house with
Looks like,
concessions, which is huge.
I have a friend that's, was looking for houses. They literally put in a offer on a house yesterday morning, and within an hour they closed on it.
It's great. If a seller gets the right price, I mean, they're just going to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
That's as long as you meet, some sellers need this, some others, and you never know what a person really needs type of a thing, Honestly, there's people out there who are just like, I want first offer. I don't care what it is. I want this dang thing going, right? So, you never know. So we did suggestions. When are you guys moved in now?
No.
We're in the process.
We're in the process.
Okay. So is it vacant?
It is vacant now.
So you guys can start moving in anytime?
Yeah.
Yes.
We started.
We just got the keys yesterday.
Okay. So that's huge. And now you gave your 6 month, or you gave your 2 month notice the beginning of the month?
I think it was
August, yeah.
Yep.
Close beginning of August.
So you have like 35 days to move your stuff. So
yeah. So our move out date is September 30th. That's when we got to be out.
Sure.
So
that's huge.
But that allows us to be able to like hook up our internet, hook up, water, power, everything.
Yep.
So
that's awesome. Yeah, saying that's, now I guess, where did you get that information? I mean, granted, you guys have been renters, but did you guys pay all your utilities being a renter? I forget about that.
all about water.
yeah, like everything except water and sewage.
Okay, so and now who told you who to call to get water into your name? Where did that advice come from?
The real at closing.
Yeah, at closing.
Yep. So they just handed you a check sheet and said these are the numbers to call.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So that's what I want people to know is like, people have knowledge, right? There's people that have bbeen through it, and no matter what, like, you can get your hand held as much as you want or need, right? Like when I bought my first house, I didn't have a single bill in my name, so it's like I didn't know who to contact, and I got a sheet. That said consumers DTE. Here's a list of 3 trash companies. Call them, see what the best bid is. Call the city, tell them that you're the new owner and stuff like that. So,
I mean, the the next thing I also advise is, don't be afraid of asking your realtor to ask the other party questions. Like we had closed and we're like, okay, wait, we didn't get a garage door opener. Weren't we supposed to get a garage door opener? Apparently they didn't have one. And then we were going to try and do this call over at the new house. We have the internet and everything sent over there, get ready to set up, and we have to contact them again, asking them where their internet hookup is.
Apparently, so they never had internet or cable. So I'm
Sure.
They never had internet or cable? What?
Yeah,
Are they the Stone Age?
I don't know. It's like I called the
Guys, Nick doesn't have internet or cable.
You're Stone Age.
I'm Stone Age, yes, 100%. I can get everything done on minimal. I try to think. I'm not a minimalist, right? Because I drink crap tons of beer, and I just put my money towards other things.
I mean, like, we don't have cable or anything like that. We literally use the internet for everything. So,
Yeah, me too. Off my
but
cell
we're
phone.
also gamers, so I mean, we kind of have to have that.
Hey, I play Clash of Clans. I'm a gamer. I'm a diehard gamer. Clash of Clans all
You're a
day.
phone
Not
gamer.
the same.
I phone game too, but
I think I play Bubble Pop now too, and I think that's a game, okay?
Not the same. I got a question.
Yeah.
So, when you guys sat down with a realtor, they ask you, what are you looking for? What were your have-to-haves in a house?
Mm-hmm.
what is my
what were the have-haves?
Yeah, what did you have to have when your realtor said, okay,
Well,
what
you're the
do
one
you have
that
to have when you're looking for a house? Like for me, I know I need a garage. I know I need central air. Those are, if I'm looking at a house, those two are musts.
I think when we were looking, it was definitely had to have central air. Was one of the
really
the musts. That was the best ideal that we wanted. If we had to, and they had the option for central air, like if they had forced air but had the ducting work that could do it and just didn't have central air, we could have done it, down the road. But I think the main thing is that we were looking for move-in ready. We were looking, okay, do they come with appliances? Because we had to look at, okay, well, that's going to be an extra cost down the road if we need appliances. We were really lucky that this house came with a fridge, the stove, a dishwasher, which is a plus. We didn't need that. And the only thing that we really need down the road is a washer and dryer. So, I mean, at this point, it's pretty much a dream. I mean, I wasn't even expecting to get a house with a garage.
Sure.
Which is awesome because David knows me. I'm a crafter. I'm a trinketer. Definitely need my making space. So it's definitely a plus. And then the other stipulation that I had requested was a big enough backyard to have a stand-up garden in. Like, I didn't even care if it was like a huge area. It's just more or less I wanted to be able to grow, different vegetables and whatnot. So.
And I think it's really fun because you guys and we're kind of doing things a little bit backwards in life, right? So my first house is 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, right? And quite a few square feet. And it was me and my wife, right? That's it. And I had all the space I wanted. Well, my first investment was a duplex, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 floor, like no basement, no anything, right? So taking all that stuff and I moved everything. I have a storage over at that house. So I kept everything upstairs in the garage there. But like I learned to live so small. So then, right, like I learned going from having things that I loved to having, all right, I can still live here. I just don't have, all this. Okay, now, and then we did a couple of different moves, but like now, I mean, even on this house that I own now, like one of the big things, my wife is like, I need a pool, right? So we have the pool. This house came with a natural gas line that I have, right? So my grill is hooked up straight to natural gas. I don't fill a propane tank. I'm promising you people, like, that'll be, if I ever buy another house, build a house, do whatever, that's a guaranteed thing. A natural gas line will be hooked up to my grill. I don't care if I have to get it as a concession. Like, you will pay the $300 to run that gas line. Like, but you'll find in your first house, you're like, all right, this is great. This fits. And so, like, you already have so many things that you got so many extras from what you originally wanted. And I think that's huge. Now you'll grow and do that. Right. So I am an investor. I think so. I'm doing it full time, retired right now. Thank you. So I tell people I'm retired, just to make myself feel good about myself. But as an investor, so you guys say you have the bedroom, a craft room, and an office spot. What are the chances you're going to run Airbnb out of your basement, or you're going to run Airbnb out of one of your extra rooms to try to drive up some income? Is that a thing that you guys have thought about?
No, because I think we have like just enough rooms for what we need, so we don't really have the extra space. I mean, I guess if we needed to use the sewing room, we could put a bed in there or something, but that's about it.
It's not a thing that you want to drive for right now.
Not,
So-
not really, not really a thing. Like we've had a discussion because we have a friend that's not in such a good situation where they're getting I don't want to say bullied, but pretty much trying to get controlled and manipulated by their parents and being
Sure.
adults themselves. And it was more or less, I'm like, hey, we have room, we can get you a bed, we need to get you out of a situation, like you could stay
Yeah.
for, a spare room, and
It starts there. Trust me. I've had people live with me quite a bit. I mean, a lot of it's family. I had a buddy who was, getting married, and so they didn't want to live together and stuff like that. So he came and lived in one of my big rooms. And it just, so it kind of starts there, honestly. And when you start seeing that you can either pay for, half your mortgage, all of your mortgage. So on a personal note, if you care to share with us, how much were you guys paying, or are you paying on your rent right now? And what is your new mortgage pricing? Well, so you have FEMA flood insurance, which is quite large, but so what's the price difference?
I think it's like, so in terms of just premium cost, like, sorry, not premium, principal costs versus like cost of rent. Like right now we're paying $510 a month for rent, which is like really cheap for,
especially this area.
yeah.
For anybody in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a really good deal on this apartment.
Sure.
And I think it's like 400 something for the principal, like, and that's just like the loan and like taxes and stuff. But then there's also the escrow payment, which is like another 300 something. So I think total amount is like $800 a month.
Sure. So for $300 more, and you're gaining 2 more bedrooms, correct?
Yes.
Mhm.
Plus a basement, plus a garage.
Plus a kitchen that's like twice, if not 3 times larger
I'd
than
say
ours.
it's twice as large.
Twice
Plus
as
a
large.
yard. Plus a yard. So you guys gained a lot off of $300. Just viewer wise, real quick, I want to touch base. He brought up a couple things. Principal and interest, right? You'll hear that. So principal, right? So if he paid, let's say $100,000 for his house, that's the principal payment, and then they add interest. So can I ask what you guys got? I mean, I know 30-year rates right now are crazy low for interest rate. What's your interest rate? Do you know?
It's below 3%.
Below 3%. That's huge.
That's
Good
huge.
for you guys. Holy crap.
I thought I was
Right.
doing good at 3 3/4.
That is fantastic. I love it. I love this story. This is great. But so you're below 3%. So right, they're gonna take the $100,000, divide it by the 30 years, and then add the 3%, or well, let's call it 3% just to round. Add that every month, and that's their payment divided out. And then if they overpay on their principal, right, that cuts it down to how much they owe for interest. Escrow, right? What he was talking is your insurance. Usually your taxes are built into there. RD, real development. I'm not 100% sure. Is your taxes built into your RD loan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to write a check to the city every 6 months. Okay, so it's already built in. Say 90% of loans are. I just know there's a few out there where they'll let you pay your own taxes. People do that. So like, if you're a real investor, like hardcore money, you're gonna wait. So like, all the people that I know that invest, right, taxes are due July, or let's call it August 31st, right? Their payment is like to them August 31st. Me, I got my bill for taxes 2 months ago, and I just send the check. Yes, I can earn interest on my 10 grand that I send out, but like, it gives me anxiety to owe people money, so I just send it. And I lose out on a few bucks. I'll be honest about that, but like, my anxiety is not worth that to me, because like, I'll forget. I just sent out a mortgage payment today for next month, and I'm usually paying by the 15th, kind of a thing. So, I try to do things way ahead of time. But no, that's so $300. You guys have killed it. Really, are you now? What's your long-term goal with this place?
I think just like a residential living, really.
Forever? This is like your forever house?
I think so for now, yeah.
For now.
Sure.
I mean, we're not a couple that plan on having kids. We have 3 fur babies.
Sure.
It's definitely one of those, we wanted to get out of the apartment, and if we were going to move out of the apartment, we were going to move into a house. So
yeah, this is huge. So no, and right, 30 years from now, you're gonna, or if you are smart, you'll overpay by however much you guys want. I always suggest paying down that principal as fast as possible. At least, I guess my suggestion is always I like to get it to as low as possible, and then just open a line of credit. That way I just have the money there in case I absolutely need it. So the faster I pay, the better it becomes. So, and you save a bunch of money. You might as well, I mean, honestly though, at like less than 3%, I don't know if it's kind of worth it at this point. Like,
It's probably not.
it's hard to make that money, man. So I wouldn't even tell you that unless you're me, right? Like, again, me, I don't like owing anybody anything. Granted, I owe, 15 people or 15 banks or whatever it is, a bunch of money, but so I'm really happy for you guys. Like, was there anything in the video that stuck out to you that you remember that just told you to take the jump to actually go look? Because I remember when we talked, you were like, yeah, I have this lease, and you kind of had a couple excuses of why you haven't done it in forever. Like, was there anything in the video that made you guys just go, all right, it's time to get off the pot?
told us to get off the pot and go look.
Well, I want people to realize here. So literally, we did this on a Tuesday night, like we always do.
Yeah.
And by the time I woke up Wednesday morning, I had messages on Facebook from TJ going, "Hey, look at this house." And I was like, "Holy crap! Something happened overnight." I started sending Nick messages, and he goes, "Yeah, I already talked to MJ there, and
What you don't understand is I was the person that was sitting off to the side because of the fact that it was totally underneath PJ's name, and because that way we didn't have to deal with put in like having that second person income type thing in quote, especially since we're not married, and then it would just make it a lot more complicated.
A lot more paperwork.
And where's my train of thought going? What you guys don't realize on the backside is him going crazy because he's crazy like this. And it was, hey, look at this one. Look at this one. look at this one. What you think this one? Well, and I get text messages like in the middle of the day of like 5 different houses to look at. I'm like, I'm at work.
Oh, welcome to my wife's life for the past 10 years. Trust me. Hey, take a look at this. Take a look at this.
What you need to realize, Dani, is when we have thoughts, we need answers now.
Well, yeah, I know, because I'm that personality too. So
I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys because you don't believe it, but I'm gonna make you investors by the end of who knows how long, right? Because
that'll be Nick's end goal of us.
It is okay. So here's the thing, right? So people ask me why I give advice all the time and I don't charge for it and I give it for free, right? Because I know that 99% of people that I talk to are just gonna sit around and do nothing with my advice. I can hand you everything in the world except for the money and stuff like that. And when people are given things, they usually don't take it and run with it, right? Like it's that special 1% that actually takes it and does something with it, and they understand, hey, if I'm talking, like if I talk about it, I intend to do it, right? But I go to coffee, I go drink beers with people, and just a constant, right? Like, hey, let me pick your brain, let me do this, and people don't like. Nobody moves as fast as you guys have ever moved on like a deal. Like, I mean, I can't believe it, right? Like, so like literally like the next day I'm like, all right, like, and there's part of me that's like, okay, yeah, they're looking, and then like I get oh, hey, we put an offer in. No crap, like, hey, we got an accepted offer. All right, they're going through with it. Like until that final, hey, we closed. I'm like, wow, this is like these people get it, they understand it, and you'll be great landlords someday. I'm telling you.
One pretty quick, mainly because we kind of fell in love with it, and then when we were looking around, it just seems like all the other houses that we were looking at were dumps for better words. You know, they just weren't worth it.
Or they weren't in that like rural development.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Well,
I mean, we found some houses that were really nice, but you know, they were in the wrong loan.
Sure, it's like putting 3.5%. I mean, if you can save 3.5%, I mean, that's $3,500 on $100,000 right there. I mean, you know, that's a lot of money. So I you know, the good news is Dani, you didn't get your name on any of this loan. You're officially not the owner of it. You're entitled to nothing of it. But the good news is your whole financials are wide open. So we're gonna buy you a house too. And no, it's great. Like, right, I'm gonna teach you that your big backyard that you're bragging about is you're gonna let somebody park their trailer.
Small backyard.
You're huge. Somebody's gonna be able to park their trailer, and you're gonna charge them $50 a month during the winter time just to park their trailer there because they don't have spot in their $500,000 neighborhood because they're not allowed to park it there, and it's going to be cheaper to park it.
How big is this trailer?
Doesn't matter. It's going to fit in your backyard. It doesn't matter, right? It's the winter. You're not using the backyard.
You can just put it in like a corner.
Hey, if you let me, I'll give you $1. I'll give you $1 a month if you let me park my pop up there, right? So the whole point is you can make anything an investment if you try hard for it, right? So
And I think one of the things you were hitting there, Nick, because we had this discussion last week, you know, Don and I went and picked up some inventory from Lansing, and Mike came up and we were all talking about this, and I had that Ron Swanson moment of, you know, he said, why are people so bad at eating? And I said to my wife, why are people so bad at opening a business? And the honest answer is everybody wants it handed to them. They don't want to actually work for it.
Yep.
So you guys went and you said, okay, well, we sat here, we listened to what these guys had to say. Obviously, buying a house is an option because they think we can do it. So let's just go do it.
Yeah.
And that's half the battle right there is you just decided, okay, I'm just going to go do this.
And that's like, it's huge to me because like I'm going to tell you the figure is literally 99% of people will not break their lease. They won't, you know, they'll just constantly have excuses. And then, you know, when they go to close on the next one or something like that, you know, again, your lease isn't up for quite a while, but you're like, you know, we talked about it in the last episode, is like signed and we had this. And so everybody just gets into this comfort life. And again, they're handed, people don't want to be disrupted. They don't want this comfort, but like, they don't understand that. Now what you're doing is, right, you're taking, we talked about principle, right? Like every time you make a payment, right, it sucks to look at, and because you're going to look at it and go, oh man, escrow's 400 and interest is 300 and my principal's $62. What is 60? I own $62 in my house, right? But like now, and life is so short to me, right? It really is. But like, you know, get 5 years down the road and see that you have $8,000 built into this house, right? Get 10 years down the road and see that you have 20 grand built, you know, get like, and the farther you go, you're like, holy crap, we own something. It's just like a savings account that you paid for. Right? But you're going to own this thing, and you're just going to go, wow, we're sitting on a pile of money. I mean, yes, you always have to have a place to live, but, you know, I have friends right now on Facebook and stuff like that. Like, I can't believe 3 friends I know have sold their house and moved to a travel trailer, and they're just hauling it around, or an RV, and they're just driving around because they sold their house for quite a bit of money, and they're just living, you know, they paid 20 grand for this trailer. One paid, you know, half their house price for an RV, but that, but the, you know, still like they just sent in this big pile of money, and that's what they did with it. So, you know, now you guys are going to build this equity, and you're going to be able to utilize it to do bigger things, and getting to less than 3%, man, that is, you guys, like, I've hit home runs in this game, right? But like, you guys hit a home run, 0 down, below 3% interest. You got everything that you listed that you wanted, you officially got in your first house, like the only house you looked at. You got an accepted offer. You guys, like, I'm not going to tell viewers, hey, this is how it is, because it's not. Really, it's not. This is a thing that doesn't happen on a constant. I mean, this is huge. Like, this is like a unicorn, right? Like, it doesn't, especially in 2020, again, when houses are flying. You didn't, now how much was it doesn't matter. Did you pay over what the asking price was?
Yes.
So you did go in.
But
I think it was like by 1 or 2,000.
well, listen to this. They were asking for the house at $109,000. Our quote price to was $112,000, but that included $4,000 of the concession.
Yeah.
So we actually asked them to technically go down in price in the house.
Yep.
As well as, you know, paying the concession.
Sure. I say now is a good time. I say this is going to be half investment, half talking about how to buy. Guys, this is how I do things all the time, right? If I find a house that I know is now, sorry, before I finish, you offered $112,000, so you officially paid $112,000. Yes, you got money back, but you paid $112,000 on your closing documents.
Mm-hmm.
What did the house appraise for?
$115,000.
So you have $3,000 in equity just like that. Plus you got you could pay your lease off, or you could just put that all towards your principal right away and have more in equity. But you're gonna pay your lease because you're smart kids. But you know, so going back to it, right? When I buy a house, for instance, I bought a house for $120,000. It was worth $180,000, and I didn't want to put down the 25% on the closing. So what I did was I borrowed money because I can get up to 75% loan to value, right? So I ended up paying, like, let's call it $150,000. I offered $150,000, but I wanted, $25,000 in concessions, so I get a big chunk of money right back. So I put my money down and technically got it all paid right back. So I put it right back in the bank. So technically I put $0 down. I do it quite a bit, because if there's equity in it, I want to hit that equity mark as the person that I am when I invest, because the more money that I have in my pocket and the cheaper I can buy the house, the better it is, as long as the rent adds up to what it is. When we buy flips, we'll do that quite a bit, honestly, because you need that cash to flip the house. So, if I'm making a larger payment, up front, it's cheaper than hard money. Yes, it costs me in closing and stuff like that, but I just then get a big chunk of money that I can start putting down. You guys, on the houses that you looked at for pictures, right? Like, I'm the guy going in there and doing brand new fixtures, drywall, like I'm putting flooring in. You guys, it's fun because, you got so lucky because, right, you sound like the type of people that would be a little more picky because you're like, oh, the paint was great, and like people walk away from houses because the paint looks like crap, and I'm like, that cost you pennies compared to what life is like. But so but people walk away from houses because of that.
Now, I will let you know, there is a couple issues with the house, which, we looked at it and, we're like, okay, well, how much will this cost to fix it? If it's fixable and it's reasonable price, we wouldn't worry about it.
Sure.
We have like the laundry room floor. It has where the water heater is. Apparently the water heater had been compromised and it leaked into the floor.
Sure.
Well, the subfloor is gone. It's deteriorated to the point that it is soft like a sponge. And it will be needing to be replaced before we even think about getting a washer and dryer. And I looked at my contractor friend and I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. How much do you think it would cost you to help us fix it? It's like about $15 per square foot.
Sure.
And then your choice of laminate or flooring that you want to put on it.
Yep. And
we're good to look over that then.
And now does your new hot water heater have drip pan?
Not
It's a
sure.
big, never mind. So drip pan, right, for everybody that's watching, there's a hot water heater, right? Big giant white tube thing usually. And then the bottom part has a pan that sits probably 3 inches high, that sits around it. So that way, if the water heater leaks, because it leaks out of the spout when it breaks, usually there's a sensor in there, 4 inches.
I think the new one does.
Okay, and that's code, right? So like some of mine don't because their grandfather did. But and so then you have this sensor that goes in there, and if water touches it, it sends you a signal. So that way that, because they don't usually just burst and go into like explosion. They drip type thing, and then they let the water out, and so I do want to shift the idea from this to Benson, David, and I want to give advice to you guys, being a first-time homeowner, me being a landlord and understanding what things are. So, Mike, you've owned houses. What is one of the biggest things you would say, being a homeowner? What's one of the biggest things you would say?
I think as a homeowner, you always need to be ready for the unexpected and have that money available for the fact that you might have to replace a washer and dryer. You might have to, I had to buy just a few months ago a new fridge. You have to be ready for those things, and you have to realize that, they have that saying that if you can afford to rent, you can afford to buy, but realize that you add everything up in terms of usually more utilities that you're paying for when you buy that. You either have to go cheaper in terms of what your, principal is going to be, so you can cover all the insurances, all the, escrow things, and, if you feel like you can only afford a certain amount a month, or, and use the term that, every single, it seems like, call we have, or every talk we have with these, budget. Probably the most important thing.
Sure. David?
Yeah, I would agree with that. The other thing that really has come in helpful for us is start finding people now that have skills that you don't necessarily have. So we had a plumber for a while. Unfortunately, he moved states. So, I'm always on the lookout for an affordable plumber that can come in and do a quick job for me. We know an electrician that's fairly cheap, so if we need electrical work done, we know who to get a hold of. We have a handyman that, if we need something done really quick, you can swing over here and do that really quick. We found a leak in the basement one day, and it was coming from the bathroom. We weren't sure what it was. Had him come over. He looked at it. He goes, "Yeah, your O-ring went out on the toilet." I could have changed it myself. I don't want to. I said, "Yeah, what's it going to cost?" He gave me a price. I said, "Yeah, go do that," because I didn't want to do it. You're going to find these people, latch on to them when you can, because you probably won't spend, what you would spend on a stranger, but you still want to make it worth their while to drop things and come and do it for you.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, we have the friend that's a contractor.
Yep.
And he's like, I can get that floor done for you. Easy at this price.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. We'll let you know when we need you.
Well, when we did the kitchen, my old football coach Steve did the kitchen. Okay? I want to say he, at the end of the day, charged us.
By the way.
Thank you. Just for his portion of the kitchen, I think he charged us like $3,200, which we knew was way less than what he should have been charging us. I think we ended up giving him like $400 or $4,000. So it was an extra $800, which he pissed and moaned about, but we knew he shortchanged us because he's a friend and he wanted to do it as cheap as he could for us. So we knew we could take a little bit more of a loss on this. It's not a big deal.
Sure. I want everybody to know that advice right there is what sets me apart from 90% of real estate investors. You're going to hear it again when we talk about more in depth of real estate investing, right? Having a team is the biggest thing I personally can give you for advice, right? I could run inside. I made a laminate copy because if I get in a car crash or anything like that and something happens during that exact time, my wife can go through my phone and she'll type in, and in my phone, right, it just says HVAC, it says plumber, it says electrical, and it just new carpet clean. I'm just trying to think of like my team. Like if somebody says, hey, pest control and stuff like that, like I just, boom, I know exactly who to go to for what issue. But on a different, my smaller things, because David, that was great advice, and you stole my number one thing. But my advice is always have light bulbs on hand, right? They're always going to go out, and they're going to go out when you don't want them to go out.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They probably do in your apartment now, but
Yep.
right. So there, you go to Meijer, you buy a box of them for $6. If you buy LED, they'll go on sale. Buy them when they're on sale. That's what I always do. Furnace filters. You guys have forced air, correct?
Yes.
Right. So furnace filters. Again, this is preference. My HVAC guy suggests that you get the blue ones, right? Because they breathe a heck of a lot more. They don't make your AC work. It's funny, actually. David had an issue. David had this exact issue at his business. He was using, he's thinking he's proud of buying this $40 air filter HEPA bull crap that, and this thing. Well, what it does is
Filters out allergies.
Yep, he's thinking he's helping the whole world, and right. So what it is this cloth is so dense that it doesn't allow air to get through to get to the heater, or and to actually do the work. So my suggestion is, right, go to Menards. Okay, so go to your house, open up where it says air filter. I mean, if it's not labeled, label it. Make sure you have the direction of airflow. So before you pull it out, take a picture so you know which way that arrow goes. That's a big advice, because airflow flows one way.
Yeah.
Right, so it comes in, goes in. So make sure you take that picture. So right on the side of it, it's going to be labeled the exact size. What I do personally is I buy my first box and I empty it out, and I throw the first ones away in the trash. Every month I change mine out because my ducks are a little different. And so then I take my second box and I leave the old box there, and I just fill up 12 of them. And so once a year I throw out a whole box of them because I keep them. So know what your air filter is. Buy the blue one, right? Because it lets enough air through and it catches all the dust that you're going to need to do. It'll make your furnace last for that much longer. If you have an HVAC guy that you appreciate, approve of, and he tells you differently, don't take my advice, take his advice, because he's the one working on the stuff, right? So I'm not a licensed professional. I just, I just go with what my people go with. So
That's one thing that we wish that the previous homeowners knew.
to
Because
change their air filters,
oh well, yeah. Well, the furnace is underneath the house, so it's in the crawl space.
yep.
And it just seems like they never changed it in the 3 years.
Nobody does. This is the most that's why I'm giving you this advice. This is the most forgotten
It was
thing.
practically like the furnace was practically eating
Yeah.
the filter.
Yeah, black dirt or just and you'll pull it out and it's just covered. So and people don't do it with their if you go to places like I go to, which is Muffler Man or the cheap oil changes, they don't check your cabin air filter. They don't check your air filter under the hood. I mean, if you're paying $60, to get an oil change, they'll check it, but they'll still charge you the $40 for the filter, even though you can go to AutoZone and buy it for $4. And if you're any little bit handy, I mean, a furnace filter, honestly, you pull a cover, right, and it opens directly up. You pull out, you see the arrow, you push it right back in the slot, you put the cover back on, and your life is good. It takes you, I'm gonna say you're crawling downstairs. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes of your life. If you can't give 3 minutes of your life, I don't care if it's every 2 months, right? To save yourself, once you pay for your first, I always say once you pay for your first furnace, you're gonna understand that me spending $3 every 2 months is well worth me not spending $3,500 every however often this thing is gonna go out, or your calls. So that's some of the biggest advice. The other advice I would give you, we talked about your hot water heater blowing. It's going to happen. It happens to everybody. It's guaranteed. You're going to have water leaks in other places. So my advice is when you get to the house, go find your main shutoff. Okay? Don't touch it because I'll give you that in a second. But find where it is, right? So you know that if you have an emergency, like you
can just crank it down.
Yep, exactly. So you can shut that water off to the house. Now there's going to be a water meter inside. There's going to be one that's known as the city side and one that's your side. If you are feeling up to it, call the city and ask them if they're responsible for their side. Everybody around here, except for the city of Grand Rapids, apparently, I just found out yesterday, the city is responsible for their valve. So the one that runs to the ground itself. Never touch your side ever if you're not responsible for it, because what's going to happen is nobody opens and closes their valves ever. I don't do it. So these things dry out like the seals inside. So when you go to close it the first time, it's going to leak on you. Okay. And then you're going to have to get that fixed. So you call somebody. So that's why you close down the city side, because if it leaks, they come shut the water off at the road, and then they come replace that side. You never have to actually touch your side. If it doesn't shut water off to the house, yes, touch your side. Big chances yours is going to leak too. So figure yours is a secondary option type of a thing.
Yeah.
But know where your water is to make sure you can shut it off. It doesn't happen every day, but you know what? In the 30 years that you guys are going to live there and make payments on it, it might help you, because I've been in a situation. When it
rains, it pours.
Yep. And so, right, I went to go shut off a toilet, and that valve leaked, right? So, and it was dripping water, and yeah, it shut it off somewhat, but it still leaked on the floor and stuff like that. And then it was like, okay, and this is exactly how I know, because then I go to shut off the main, and I shut off mine, and it won't shut off, right? The ball valve inside of it just won't close. I was like, oh, crap. And then it starts leaking, so I shut off the city side, and theirs starts leaking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, can any other one, like I'm at the point of stop being a landlord. But then I call the city, they're like, all right, we'll come get this taken care of. So of course I do the toilet one, because I'm not like David. I'll get down there and do the 10-cent one. I hired somebody to do my personal one on the opposite side, because you don't want to touch that valve. I don't personally, because if that water is not shut off, I mean, that's going to blow a hole in your wall. I'm be honest, that thousands of pounds of pressure, it's just so much if it's not shut off. So I don't fuss with it. And then the city comes in and they change theirs, and I don't get charged for that. So and I know it's going to close. So, big advice there is just know where, because water's the most damaging thing, because you don't always know exactly where it's coming from, and you don't know how long it's going to take. So, know where your shutoffs are, know where your mains are. Now, honestly, don't be me, but I do try to shut my toilets off every once in a while. I can't say it's every, just kind of when I'm like right now I'm thinking about it. So after this, I'll go shut my waters off just to make sure that O-ring or that seal inside the shutoff is lubed up and still, it's not going to dry rot on me. So I get tired of having to to replace these things. So when I go to a tenant place, I'll just give it a thing just to make sure I don't have to go do it again. And then my other advice is, enjoy it, make it your own, and understand that really for you guys, this is going to be something you guys share forever and something that you're going to build for the rest of your life. So, don't rush into getting everything done at once, because, how I do things is I do my, I'll do my paint, and then I go do my flooring, and that takes me 4 years, and then I go do something else. By the time I'm done, right, my wife wants new paint, and then that paint doesn't look great with that flooring, and then that flooring doesn't look great with that, it's a never-ending cycle. But just enjoy it and make it your own. Really, owning real estate is as great as you want it to be. Yes, there's frustration times, but man, it is the best thing when you know that thing is paid off.
I think this was a lot of fun. I think
loved
this
it.
is probably eye-opening for some people. I think you guys did a great job.
Home run.
I think you got everything you wanted. You paid a good price for it. I'm really proud of both of you.
Oh man, I couldn't be happier, honestly. I say we've met the one time, and I'm honestly I couldn't be happier for you guys. So.
Alrighty, so we're gonna wrap this one up. Thanks for joining us again, TJ and Dani. Thanks for taking time out of your day and not moving at the moment, so we could sit here and talk to you about your house journey. Thank you to Michigan Wine Company for a great glass of cider there. I was happy with that. Nick?
I say Anheuser-Busch, of course, Bud Lights. Send them. Guys, like, subscribe, share. Dani, TJ, I expect to see a like and subscribe on this one. I mean, I know you can't love on YouTube, but let's show some love. If you hated this video, smash the like button, just to make sure that everybody else can hate on the video and we can see all the comments. Really say do us that favor, and that's the only thing we ask for repayment of some knowledge. Now that we officially know that some knowledge works, say David says that we're not crazy. I still think we're crazy, but we have some knowledge. So, guys, this is one of the happiest episodes and feedback that we've gotten in so long. And to hit a home run like that, man, that's just huge. That is huge. You go into a real estate thing, you tell people that you did that, you guys are going to look like legends. It's going to be great.
Alrighty, guys. Well, it was good joining everybody, and we'll see you all next week.